India's high economic growth relies on a supply chain it does not control. Currently, over 50% of the country's energy is imported from foreign markets. This creates a direct link between global conflicts and domestic prices. When tensions rise in the Middle East or U.S. policies fluctuate, the Indian economy absorbs the cost through imported inflation and a heavy drain on dollar reserves. Geologists have long viewed the Andaman Sea as a potential solution to this dependency. Satellite data and early seismic surveys suggested the remote underwater rock formations could hold a significant hydrocarbon system. The regional geography made the lack of a discovery even more notable. Neighboring nations like Myanmar and Indonesia have already successfully extracted gas from this same geological belt, yet Indian exploration remained unsuccessful for years. Identifying a viable resource in these waters is a requirement for India's long-term energy security. It represents a way to stabilize the national economy by producing fuel within its own borders. In a shift in exploration strategy, the open acreage licensing policy allowed Oil India Limited to select their own search coordinates. They used 3D seismic data to identify specific subsea structures with the highest probability of holding gas. Initial results were mixed. The first well, Vijayapuram 1, turned out to be dry, illustrating the difficulty of predicting where hydrocarbons actually settle. The first indication of success appeared in September 2022. While drilling the Vijayapuram 2 well at a depth of 295 meters, the team recorded a confirmed natural gas presence. Lab analysis of the samples showed a methane content of 87%. This high concentration is a primary indicator of gas quality. Often called sweet gas, it contains fewer impurities like sulfur, making it an efficient, clean fuel source for power plants and industry. While the quality was high, a single strike is not enough to confirm a field. To make extraction viable, engineers needed to prove that the gas was part of an active system with a reservoir large enough for commercial use. Vijayapuram 2 provided the initial evidence of high-quality gas, but the team still needed to find a primary reservoir structure. The investigation moved to Vijayapuram 3, plunging through 355 meters of water. After drilling 1,900 meters into the subsea rock, the drill bit reached a highly pressurized zone, triggering a significant upward flow of gas. The subsequent surface flare was continuous, indicating a large volume of gas and steady reservoir pressure. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri officially confirmed the strike, announcing the presence of a second gas field in the Andaman offshore block. This third successful hit confirms a complete working petroleum system. The data shows the necessary source rock to generate fuel, the migration paths for it to move, and the trap structures required to keep it contained. The geological data has been verified. India has identified an active, high-quality hydrocarbon basin in its eastern waters. This find is often compared to the offshore discoveries in Guyana, where new oil and gas production significantly increased the national GDP and shifted the country's economic baseline. Its value is amplified by its location next to the Malacca Strait, Asia's primary energy trade route. This narrow bottleneck causes China's Malacca dilemma, as much of its energy supply passes through here, creating significant strategic vulnerability. By establishing a domestic energy hub in the Andamans, India places a major strategic asset at the entrance of this strait. This provides both energy security and a strengthened maritime position near one of the world's most critical trade routes. The Vijayapuram discovery is an economic asset that also redefines the strategic map of the Indian Ocean. Locating the gas was a scientific challenge, but bringing it to the surface will be a massive industrial one. Commercial extraction from deep water fields is expensive. Experts estimate it will require an investment of at least $5 billion and a decade of development before the first gas reaches the market. The project must also account for the fragile local environment. Building underwater pipelines and coastal terminals near the Andaman coral reefs introduces a risk of ecological damage if a leak or spill were to occur. Industrialization in this region also creates friction with tribal rights and the protection of the island's ecologically sensitive zones, which have seen minimal human interference for centuries. There is also the physical risk of the location itself. This region sits on a major tectonic fault line, And as the 2004 tsunami demonstrated, seismic events here can be destructive enough to compromise even the most robust industrial infrastructure. India has confirmed a major resource that could reduce its reliance on foreign fuel. However, the path from discovery to production remains a long-term challenge involving high costs and significant environmental risks.